What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with another Mariners post-game recap. As always, before I get started, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, comment, let me know what you guys think of the team and the game. Still about 45% average of my views for these post games are from unsubscribed people. So just a couple of you could hit that sub button, helps me out a whole lot. About 30, I think 31 subs away from 1,500 is the next big goal for me on my way to 2,000. So if you guys can just help me out, hit that sub button. The likes help a lot. It just helps get the videos out to more people and helps a smaller channel like myself grow. And I hope you guys are enjoying the content. Mariners lose today 3-2, so they drop the series to the Orioles. They're back to 2 games under 500, heading home tomorrow. Before I get into anything else, we'll be live tomorrow for the play-by-play, so come by and check that out. Got some regulars in there. I love it. But even the people, if you're new and you're not involved much in the comments, hop in and watch and enjoy the game from my perspective. Got a different kind of rant for this game. And some people aren't going to like this and probably going to consider it controversial. And that's fine. You can call me out on it, but I'm going to say it. This team has been unlucky. They have been an unlucky baseball team this year. Now, unlucky doesn't mean you're good, and good luck doesn't mean you're bad. It just means this team has been unlucky. They're just played a road trip where they outscored the opponents by 13 runs, and they went 2-4. They just had a series where they outscored a team by 9 runs, and they lost it. This team is losing every coin flip game, and this is another one. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some of that is not their own undoing. It's not just that, they've been unlucky, too bad, just whatever. There are some issues with this team. I've talked about them. I went off on this team on Wednesday when they lost a game I felt they should have won. So I'm not sitting here saying this is a perfectly great Major League Baseball team and just too bad they've been unlucky, nothing else to it, end of discussion. I'm not. But they have been unlucky. Okay? It is fair to say that about this team. Today's a pretty perfect example of it. Look at the run the Orioles scored to win this game. It was a pop-up. It was a pop-up by the backup catcher. What's his name? Bembom. Pops it up into no man's land. Caballero can't get to it in time and then ends up kicking it. And because of a walk to Jorge Mateo, one of the fastest guys in baseball, he is able to come around and score. That was in the bottom of the 5th, and that was it. Baltimore wins 3-2. That was the run. Both teams hit 2-run home runs. And the Orioles, and again, that's not taking away from Baltimore. I'm not at all. Like, trust me, the Mariners have won these games in the past. So this isn't take away. I'm getting this from the Mariners' perspective. That was the game-winning run. It was a pop-up. And I know some people are going, you shouldn't have walked Jorge Mateo. Walks happen. It sometimes happens. Yes, if George Kirby had been a pitcher that struggled with command all season or something and he walked Mateo, then I think that would stand. But Kirby's got impeccable control. He had 1 battery loss. That doesn't mean you automatically, too bad because Kirby walked a guy. That's not how it works. Like, you don't get to say, too bad because he just walked Mateo. That happens. And then he got a pop-up, and it fell into no man's land. It got kicked, and it scored a run. That is an unfortunate series of events there for the Mariners. Julio Rodriguez, first batter of the game, was robbed by Mariner nemesis this series, Anthony Santander, for a home run. And as much as people are going to get on the offense, and I am too, the offense was not good today. But if that little pop-up is caught and Julio's fly ball gets over the fence that Santander brought back, Mariners win this game 3-2. They win the series. Even Gino just missed a home run. Now Cal hit the home run right after, so that didn't matter. But they would have won the game 3-2. Now, circumstances might have been different. Maybe they don't. But, for the most part, yeah, that's the swing right there. Julio robbed of a home run. A little pop-up gets kicked around, and it's 3-2 loss. That doesn't excuse it. They still lost the baseball game. The offense wasn't good today, only 3 hits. But, again, it was close there. It was another coin flip that they couldn't get. And Bradish is a pretty good pitcher. So it's not like they went out there against some no-name person that can't do anything and didn't put up runs. Bradish's slider has been one of the most deadly pitches in baseball this season. I mean, he had not given up a home run all year and almost gave up 2 today. Cal got one, and then Julio just missed one. So it's not like they were facing a nobody today. And the Orioles also one of the best bullpens in baseball. They came close to doing enough in this game. George Kirby was really solid. The bullpen did its job, and they lost. It's that there was some luck involved in that. There is, or maybe luck, unfortunate, whatever you want to call it. But this team has been a little snake bitten this year. They're 2 games under with the run differential, one worse than Baltimore's, who is 18 games above 500, 10 games up on the Mariners with the same run differential. Be very clear, and I say this all the time, run differential is not everything. I talk about it a lot. It is not everything. I'm not implying the Mariners have been as good as Baltimore. I'm not saying anything like that. But it is a kind of crude, just quick way to look at things and the overall maybe merits of a team, just, again, in a very crude, quick way. And this team has been okay by that, but another one-run loss. I think they're 8-15 in one-run games. I think 3 of those one-run wins are against Oakland. So, outside of that, they are just, and they're 4-7 in extra inning games. Again, they've gone from last year and the year before being the wonder kids in these games to, they haven't just regressed. They flipped. Regression would be back to about 500. You would expect a team like the Seattle Mariners to be about 500 in one-run games, to be about even in extra inning games. One, because they're an okay ball club. They're not terrible. Obviously, you would expect the A's to not bear very good in those games because they're just not very good. And actually, the A's probably, I don't know about extra innings. I know they have a better one-run record than the Mariners do. The White Sox, I think, have one of the worst records of baseball in one-run games. It makes sense. They're not very good. The Mariners have one of the worst records. They're okay. Even if you don't think this team is good, even if you think it's just meh, they should still be better in one-run games. And I believe it might be 9-15. It's either 8 or 9 and 15. It may actually be maybe 8-16, honestly. I'm not positive on it. I don't know where to actually pull that up, but it might even be 8-16. Like I said, regression would be this team being, let's see, 12-12. And if this team was 12-12 in one-run games, which is not anywhere close to what they've been the last 2 years, it's 500. It's average-ish. This team would be 41-35. And I think we'd all feel pretty good. It would probably be in a playoff spot right now if they were just 500 in one-run games. Some of that's on them. Some of that is 100% on them. They haven't gotten out of certain situations with guys on, like Matt Brash this year, whether it's been some bad luck with BABIP or whatnot. Last year, he would come in, they got out of those situations like yesterday. This year, it's just not happening. The 8th inning yesterday, they would have scored a couple runs last year in that inning and won that game. Today, they would have finished this off. Julio's would have gotten out, and that little pop-up wouldn't have fallen in for a base hit, and they would have won 3-2. That's just how it was going for this team the last couple of years. And this year, like I said, it's not just regressed, it's flipped. It's flipped. This team is now suffering. This team has now become what they have done to other teams over the last couple of years in these one-run games. They become the very thing they sought to destroy, and that's the one-run monster. And, again, that's not necessarily regression is back to the mean. They've gone, like I said, and just done a complete 180 in these close games. They just can't win them. They just can't. And do I think the bullpen's amazing? No, I think it's got some flaws, but it's good enough. And like I said, they're worse than the A's in one-run games. The A's. So if you're going to come at me and say, well, that's part of the problem. This team just isn't built to win these games. The Mariners aren't good enough in these situations. It's coaching. It's the bullpen. It's decision-making. It's their clutch ability, whatever it may be. Then one, why were they better the last 2 years? What happened? Why has it dropped off this year? Are they coached differently now this year? No, they're the same guys. Did they forget how to hit in the clutch? Not really a thing, but I don't think so. And then the A's are better in one-run games. So why are the A's better? Do the A's have better bullpen? No. They don't have a better offense? No. Is Mark Kotsay an amazing manager? Probably not. Otherwise it wouldn't be 20-55. The A's record isn't on Kotsay, but you know what I mean? If he was so amazing, then why aren't they winning other games as well? So, what is it? What's the reason for this? There is some luck involved. There just is. Now, you can't get it back. It is what it is. And again, I'm going to get into it's not just, I'm not claiming it's just luck, and I've said that 5 times, but it is. There's been some unfortunate stuff with this team. They have been a little snake bitten this year. This road trip's a perfect example. Think about football. If you had a team with a plus 13 point differential, they were 2-4, we'd probably, DVOA, Football Outsiders would love them. Bears DVOA in this road trip was probably pretty good. I think they got quality starts, almost every start. George Kirby was good in New York. Castillo wasn't great in New York. I've talked about that. But it's still 5 innings, 3 earned runs wasn't terrible. Brian Wu was solid. Logan was great. Bryce Miller was not very good, but gave the team a chance. And George Kirby was solid today, and they lost 4 games. George Kirby 6-7 with a 3.19 ERA. Now, win-loss record for a pitcher, I don't really look at, but that record is indicative of what the team's overall record is. George Kirby, it's through 13 decisions, should be 9-4 with a 3.2 ERA, but he's 6-7. And again, the offense, but it's hard for me to hop on the offense too much because they were actually pretty good this series. They put up 13 in game one. They 4 yesterday with 4 home runs. And even today, as much as they weren't great, if Julio's ball goes over the fence, we're maybe still playing baseball. Or maybe they win the game. I don't know. But, to an extent, they did enough. It's tough. Let's get into it a little bit. Let's dive into the game itself. Here, let me pull up the box score. Kirby went 6 1/3, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. He was solid. Again, Santander got him. That was a tough spot. With 2 outs there, you maybe think about putting him on. Santander's a really good player. He's actually really, really underrated player for people that don't know much about him. He was a guy I would love for the Mariners to look at acquiring if the Orioles were willing to trade him or something. Not now, but, I would love it now, but he's obviously not available. But, in previous years, really solid player, really wore out the Mariners this series. You wonder maybe walking him there, but you hate putting the go-ahead run or the tying run on base and bringing the go-ahead run to the plate there. Nice outing for Matt Brash in relief, and then Gabe Speier did his job in the ninth. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 7 hits, 2 earned runs. The ERA was 2 today for the pitchers. They did pretty good. Listen, the offense was not very good today. I'm not going to claim it. Julio did it was great. JP was 0 for 3 with a walk. Julio was 0 for 4. Ty was 1 for 4. Teo was 0 for 4. Kelenic 0 for 2 with a walk. Gino was 1 for 3 with a double. Cal 1 for 3 with the home run. Ford 0 for 2. Pollock 0 for 1. Caballero 0 for 3. The offense was not good today. But Brash, like I said, Brash is a pretty good pitcher. And the Mariners have had a pretty good, offensive, shouldn't say road trip because the first 2 games in New York were bad, but they've been swinging the bats pretty well the last few games. So I am going to give the offense a little bit of a reprieve. Like I said, Bradish is pretty good. Cal hit the home run. Julio just missed one. I'm not going to put this offensive performance in Cooperstown or anything like that. It wasn't good. It wasn't good enough. But they've been pretty solid. And, Julio was robbed of a home run. And the pitching was pretty solid. It's hard for me to get too upset. I could go on a rant on the offense. And there are some things there. I'm kind of wondering why A.J. Pollock is still on this roster. It's just not working out. I've seen some people say, well, he just hasn't had consistent at-bats. Hasn't been good. It might just be time to cut ties there. I get you don't really have a righty outfielder guy ready, but at this point, I'd rather just have Taylor Trammell. And I don't really understand pinch hitting Pollock for Mike Ford. I think you're better off going with Tom Murphy or even Dylan Moore. I know people can say, well, they wanted to have Dylan Moore to run in the ninth, and that's fine. Then have Tom Murphy. Murphy had a great series on Friday and didn't play again. I thought he should have got another start somewhere. And he started Friday against a righty. So I think it would have been worth to give the Murph that at-bat. I know it's tough because you don't want to possibly lose the catcher, but he'd be the DH, so you wouldn't. And they've done that before. They had Cal DH on Friday and Murph catch. So I don't understand why it's, especially when you're down a run, and, who's got more pop? Murphy. I just think you go with Murphy there. Maybe if runners are on, second and third or something, nobody out, maybe Pollock makes a little more sense because he's a little better contact guy. I'm not even positive he is this season. Maybe there it makes some sense because, Pollock can put the ball in play, get the run home. But with nobody on, take a shot that Murph runs into one. I don't know. Just my thought there. I didn't like that decision. But again, those are little things that just, hey, in one-run games, those can make a difference. So I didn't think that was a good decision by Scott, but it's also, there's no get. Murphy's more likely going to make it out too. That's just how it is. Murphy's not amazing. He's just, I think, a better option than Pollock in that situation. So that's all I've really got for this one. Just kind of with this team. They come home for a 3-game series with the Nationals. Nationals have been struggling. You got to win it. I said this road trip I was fine 3-3. Would have brought them home 500. They're 2-4. Where are they in the standings right now? Let me check because I'm not sure all the results today. Let's go to the standings. I don't care about the division. I'm not even looking at that. Let's look at the wild card. The Mariners are currently 4.5 games out behind Toronto. Not out of it, but It's funny. You look at the teams in the playoff. The Mariners have a better run differential than everybody but Baltimore. They're behind the Angels and Houston there, but they're better than Boston, better than Toronto, better than the Yankees. Again, if this team was just a little bit better in these one-run games, they might be. I'm going to check and see. I got advanced stats. So let's see if this has one-run games in it. So I want to look at this real quick here. Here we go. One-run games. So, oddly enough, Texas is bad in one-run games. There you go. Another reason to show that one-run games aren't always indicative of how good a team you are. I mean, Texas is 5-11 in one-run games. Do you think they're a bad baseball team? They have a worse run-one record, Texas does, than... Oh, the White Sox actually are good in one-run games. Kansas City's 10-9 in one-run games. Texas 5-11. So that's kind of my point that I'm making. Like... Why are the Royals better in one-run games than Texas? Are they just built better for those close games than the Rangers? Heck no. Rangers are light years better than the Royals. But the Rangers just have run into some bad luck in those close games, which is scary. That's not good news for the Mariners necessarily, but I'm just pointing it out. One-run games. Baltimore's 13-8. Yankees are 11-13, about 500. I would take the Mariners being there. Toronto's 12-7. Angels are 12-10. Houston's not great, 7-10. Boston's not great either. Seattle's 8-15. So far, that's the worst I'm seeing winning percentage-wise in the American League. And I'm just curious what the National League looks like. San Diego's 5-13, another team that's very similar to the Mariners, oddly enough. St. Louis has been bad in the one-run games, but they're also 13 games under. The Mariners are 2 games under with this this one-run game situation. So, I know I'm harping on that a lot. It doesn't mean everything. This team is not playing great baseball. The offense has been very spotty. It had a nice couple games in the road trip, but overall, it's been way too spotty. You're still not getting that all-star level performance you want out of Julio. Gino's OPS is still hovering in the 600s. Cal has been decent, but not as good as last year. Jared Kelenich's tailed off a little bit. JP's been solid, but not amazing. He's just been JP's been a good player. Caballero's been better than Colton Wong. Ty's been okay, but still not all-star level Ty. So the offense is still massively underperforming or not good enough, or the way you want to go with it. So again, this rant wasn't to whatever word you want to use, excuse the team from poor play. It's been poor, and there's been some inconsistency in the pitching staff, but they pitched pretty well on this road trip. Just kind of another microcosm road trip for this team. So, and like I said in the beginning of the video, both things can be true. The Mariners were very fortunate one-run games last 2 years. That does not make them a bad baseball team. That doesn't. All these teams I talked about being good in one-run games, outside of some of the teams at the bottom. And if you look, a lot of these teams at the bottom have better. Detroit and Chicago White Sox have good one-run record, one-run game records. Just shows you it can kind of come down to fluky stuff. Now, the Mariners have got to get better, not putting themselves in positions in these coin flip games. They've had opportunities. They were up yesterday. Had a chance. They're up 2-0 today. Kirby pulling in there to Santander. Can't let that happen there. You know what I mean? So there are definitely things this team has got to do better. But they could use some balances going their way too. Just wanted to give a little different perspective in this video. I ranted on Wednesday about the team. I've gone into it at other times. But I just want you guys maybe a bigger overall picture on some of this and where I'm coming from on some of it. Again, I wanted to speak clear for anybody that's hating that I blamed luck. I'm not. I don't think this team has been good enough this year. But, they're 500 in those one-run games, and they are, let's see, they're, 8-15. So even if they were 11-12, you're looking at a team that's 40-36 and is a game and a half out. So, again, not good enough. Still way behind Texas. That's disappointing. So again, not that there wouldn't be some level of disappointment still, but I do think the team has not only been a little disappointing, but some unlucky breaks have gone their way. I'll be live tomorrow, so come join me for Nationals Mariners. Trevor Williams, I think it is, against Luis Castillo. My gosh, is Castillo due to win a game because they've lost the last 4 starts. Got to start tomorrow. Got to turn it around because then you got Tampa coming into town. So, got to get it going. As much as I'm talking about the luck, doesn't matter. These games count. We can sit there and I can whine about it all I want, but these games count. So got to find a way, to pull these games out and win some of them. I will see you guys all tomorrow night. Have a great rest of your weekend, and make sure to turn in tomorrow. As always, go Mariners. Peace.